Obviously, I wasn't like, oh, I want to get famous. Back then, people weren't really getting famous except for like YouTube.
Gordon Ramsay, that was so cool. Like, how was that experience? What was that like?
I was just scared because I was like, oh my God, I don't want to get yelled at, like,
Yeah, yeah.
but he was just so nice and sweet. And he told me I cooked my steak perfectly. So, that was one of the best compliments I could get.
It's so good that you have such great communication with your kids.
My biggest thing was speaking to them like a person and not like as a child or a baby. That was their number one compliment that I would get was how well spoken they were.
I'm thinking of my mom. I feel like it's gonna be too hard just be transparent with everything to them. She'll just be judging everything I say and do.
It's better to do it now for them to understand who you are as a person and growing up and what really hurt you and what, for you to move on and have a better relationship with your parents, like this is what has to happen. I asked all my ex-boyfriends, I said, like, what was the best thing about dating me? This ex said, you were compassionate, loving, and outrageously fun. This one said, you were very kind, loving, and smart. One of them said, I don't feel comfortable talking about this. That's my last ex.
All the messages are like, they still love you.
Yeah, they're very, oh my God. I was like, oh my God, these are very deep.
How I first came about you, I think I was just like scrolling through Instagram and then I came across your feed and I saw the cool cooking things you did. Then I would see your reels with you and your daughter. So that's how I first came across your content, and then I sort of put you down and I reached out, and yeah, I definitely want to spend time today to just dig into your whole story and your social media journey, and hear all about it. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome. Yeah. Start with a small introduction on maybe what you've been focused on over the last 6 months.
Yeah, hi. I'm Sully Jessica Wu, also known as the Bento Box Queen. I'm a mom of three, and I went viral for making lunch for my kids, um, specifically in a bento box, specifically catered towards my Asian culture. I like to focus on a lot of comfort foods, from all over because I love food. And so I share that with my kids, and then also sharing the love of where we come from and the food that comes from. Yeah, and then from there, I worked on recipe videos, family videos, kind of what I just liked and what the audience wanted. I have a big background in beauty and I love fashion. So, you see that in there too. And I wrote a cookbook because my audience asked for one. So I wrote a cookbook. I came out with a bento box as well that I worked in collaboration with a company called Little Spoon. And recently, on Mother's Day, I launched my salt, which is a seasoning salt blend called the Woo Blend, which is my name. Woo is my last name. And so it's called the Woo Blend. I basically made a salt blend that encapsulates me as a person. It's me in a jar. It has Korean spices like gochugaru. It has Chinese spices like Chinese five spice. And then my dad's from Hawaii, and I grew up in Hawaii as well. Cause my parents were divorced, so my dad was in Hawaii, but so I still consider that home. And so I have pineapple powder and peach powder for sweetness, to remind me of Hawaii. So it's basically a sweet, spicy, everything in one sprinkle of magic. And yeah, that's basically what I've been working on. I've been promoting that. It's so good. I love it. It came out really good, and it's just good on everything. Easy to do, for anybody. You just sprinkle that on and cook it however you like it. Bake, air fry, whatever, eggs, steak, veggies. Yeah, so that's what I've been working on right now.
That's awesome, Jess. How did you go about creating the salt? How did you find the supplier? How did you put that together? Yeah.
So I am working with a company called Chosu Salt. I did a collaboration with them. They reached out to me and they were like, "Hey, we love what you do." They're Korean like a Korean owned. The wife is Korean, so it's a family-owned business. The wife is Korean. The salt is from Korea, so it was kind of like a perfect fit. And, I was just like, amazing, and I had used their products already. Some of my friends who are also Korean creators have worked with them, and I got to try all their stuff. It was amazing. So for them to come to me and say, hey, we want to work with you, was amazing, and it was like everything that I could have wanted because it was Korean salt, family owned, small. They gave me pretty much freedom to do whatever I wanted to do and make the flavor, the look of the bottle, and what I wanted to add on there. So yeah, it was a great collaboration and it's yummy. So, and it's my first product that someone can actually taste something. Like I have a cookbook, they can cook it, but it's not a direct product from me that you can try. So that was an awesome new thing that I added to my collection of, kitchen essentials, basically. Now I'm in your pantry.
That's so cool, Jess. Is it
Mhm.
direct to consumer? Do people buy it on online? How do they get it?
Yep. They have a website. Also nowadays, you can tag everything through social media. So I have posts with links you can just directly buy. You don't even have to go off screen, which makes it so easy. But yeah, just their website. It's chosusalts.com. The Woo blend is mine. And I also have a special little bundle. So it has just salt, which is for every day. I have a 5 aged Korean salt, which is their aged salt. It's just a little bit more bougie and special. I like to put that on finishing off steaks, finishing off baked desserts, anything like that. And then mine for anything. It has garlic, ginger, green onion. It has basically everything. So all in one.
When you first said that you sort of made bento boxes for your kids, I thought maybe you're Japanese, but I guess you're half Hawaiian, half Korean.
Korean, Chinese, Hawaiian.
Oh wow. Is
Mhm.
well, what's the ratio? Is it 50, 25, 25?
My dad is Chinese Korean or Chinese Hawaiian, and then my mom is full Korean.
That's so cool. Um,
Yeah.
so what national, like, what's the ethnicity of your kids? What's their breakdown? Is it?
I have two dads for them. So I have three kids. Two of the older ones are white and Mexican. So their dad was white Mexican, and then my mix. And then my littlest one, her dad was Chinese Indonesian. So she has Indonesian in her, which is fun.
So they got like 4 or 5 different ethnicities.
Yeah, I got the whole thing basically. Yeah.
Were you always a stay-at-home mom, making the lunches for your kids, or and then creating content? Yeah, what was life like before your social media blew up?
I was a working mom. I was a working single mom. I was with my youngest's dad at that point when I went viral, but I was pretty much single mom for the rest of the time before and after. But so I was always working. I love working. This is Olive.
Hey,
Hey.
Olive.
But I'm talking. Gotta go, Bubs. Uh-uh. Come on, let me finish and then I'll come.
Bye, Olive.
Basically, I had a regular job. I had a 9 to 5. I was a marketing director and I got pregnant. I was pregnant with my little one. And then I went back to work. I had her. But then I was like, I don't want to work anymore. I'm gone. I'm gone from basically from 8 to like 6. And then I come home, it's dinner time, and then it's bedtime. So I was like, I want to be with my kids more. So I quit my 9 to 5. I always did makeup. Like I said earlier, I did makeup for a long time. So I just kind of did the entrepreneurial thing of just doing my makeup thing. I drew, so I did digital portraits, mostly for moms and their kids. So I did that. And then I also made accessories. So like hair bands and hair clips and keychain, like basically anything I wanted to make with any kind of art medium, whether it was sewing or resin or whatever. I was making it. And then it was for like kids and cute. So I was just doing that. I was making cute stuff, drawing cute kids, making people pretty, and then but always doing social media. I went to school for journalism and media studies, so I have always just done the filming and social media and capturing all that stuff. So I always just like kind of recorded whatever I was doing, make whatever it was, makeup or whatever. And then my sister she was like, "Hey, go on TikTok." And so I was like, "Oh, cool." I loved how raw and real, unpolished, and short to the point, because that's kind of how I am. I'm very blunt and to the point. So I was like, I can do this. I have time to do this kind of videos. So I started filming everything and sharing, and then I went viral. What did I say? You want to show them your Labubu?
Oh, I love your Labubu. It's a nice
Or
brown.
the or this was a rare one, so she's very proud.
Wow. Do you only have one, Olive? Okay, she's gone. Olive.
She loves people, so that's why she's always like, who is she talking to? She wants to know all about you.
Yeah. When you were creating all the makeup stuff, the drawn portraits, the hair, was it all on creating content all on your one main Instagram, or did you have separate accounts for each one of those things?
Basically I had separate ones for my business accounts. So I had a separate one for like the accessories. I had a separate one for the illustrations. And then I had basically what I use now was my personal one. And I would just post lunches there or whatever else that wasn't like business related, I guess.
And then the whatever else stuff you're posting on your personal account, were you like just doing that to keep your family and friends updated? Were you looking to sort of grow your personal brand? Like how intentional was it, or did it just like randomly blow up?
I basically just always grew up filming and taking pictures. My dad taught me how to develop film when I was like 8. He bought me my first camera back. I'm almost 40, so back in the day, I was one of the first kids to ever have like a digital camera out of all my friends. So I was always the one that, you know, would be like, let's take pictures. I want to take pictures. Like everyone does it now, but I've been that person, that one person that's always like, let's take pictures. And even when my dad would record, I loved not being in front of camera more than being in front of camera. So that part of me has always been there. And then I went to school for journalism and media studies. So that led me to just doing the marketing thing, the PR, advertising, all that social media. When I went to college, basically my department started a new department called Integrated Marketing Services, which integrated social media for the first time. So like my year was basically the first year that graduated learning about social media. And so right after college, I worked at an ad agency, one of the biggest ones in Vegas. And from there I just kind of stayed in social media, obviously, because it was my job. I went to school for it. It related to the picture taking and the filming and being creative. So it just kind of naturally, I was just posting. Obviously, I wasn't like, oh, I want to get famous. Back then, people weren't really getting famous except for like YouTube. So I did YouTube because my sister wanted me to. Again, she was like, "Hey, be on YouTube. You do beauty, like makeup tutor, like just do anything. You're an artist, whatever." And so I did that, but obviously I wasn't like I don't know, I didn't really love filming myself too, so I kind of did it for my sister. Um but I love the creative part of it, I guess, the filming and editing and actually doing the makeup and stuff. And then, yeah, I don't know, the food part I never even thought about because I didn't go to culinary school and I don't I didn't think I didn't even like cooking, but I loved eating. So, and once you become a single mom, you have to cook, and so I just kind of learned through growing up and loving food and knowing kind of what tastes good and what doesn't, and figuring it out that way. And for me, it was like making things pretty and beautiful and taste yummy was more important than the cooking process, I guess. So for me, that's why I think I went bigger on like making their lunches first, because I made it cute and pretty and I put in the effort of like doing it for my kids, because not everyone would do that and take the time. But I really love to because it's, keeps me creative.
That's such a cool story. Like, if someone's watching, listening, and maybe they're in a 9 to 5 job, but they want to maybe do something more creative or do something they love, would you recommend them to focus on maybe building an audience, building a personal brand first, or maybe go straight into doing what they love, doing something creative and documenting the process of starting that small thing? And what would be your recommendation for someone that only has maybe 1 or 2 hours each day and they eventually might want to make the transition?
The biggest thing is, I think people wanna go viral for like reasons that like they probably don't even know. Like me, I went viral because the love I have for my kids. It was the effort of making a meaningful lunch. It wasn't the cooking. It wasn't anything else. So I think the biggest thing I always say is do something that you love and you want to show people because that's what's going to get you viral because it's going to show how passionate you are, how much you do love. Like, even like I tell this people, like, people go viral because of cleaning videos because they're passionate about cleaning, and I know my friend, I became friends with her on TikTok and she's one, like, she just cleans houses and now she's the face of Clorox, and even people who mow mow grass, and it's just they want to just clean up their neighbor's yard for them. And, I think it's just the genuine interest of what you like. and and you just sharing what you love and people will just see how happy you are. And that means more than a cool trick or like a clickbait or a prank, anything like that. Obviously, those will get you views too. Like it's tried and true. They're, like prank videos, clickbait videos, anything like that works too. But for me, if you're doing something that you love, regardless of what it is, cleaning, mowing grass, like it doesn't matter what it is, people will come to you because it makes you happy. And people genuinely, I think, love to just see people happy and doing what they genuinely like. So for the long term, like I can come out here and pretend to like be somebody else or be perfect, but that's not long term because I won't be able to pretend that long and I won't be able to enjoy myself because that's not who I am. But there's TV shows, so there, if you're wanting to be an actor, obviously that's a different route. But in my case, just being you and sharing what you like, it really is the goal.
How long have you been in the social media space now? Or how long have you been treating it as a business? Or I guess, yeah, how long has this journey been?
So 5 years. Basically my video went viral in February of 2020. And since then, I just went viral. I signed with an agency in May. So went viral in February, signed with an agency in May, and then from there, I just, kept going. I grew. I started a drop shipping company, selling the stuff that I was using in my videos. I set up an affiliate with Amazon so I can get affiliate commission for everything that I was selling in my videos. And then from then, I worked with some of the biggest companies that I could ever even dream about. So, and then from there, I worked on a cookbook and then a product, and now another product.
How long were you at it before February 2020? Before you had that viral video?
I got TikTok basically the summer of 2019, and I didn't really post anything. I just kind of looked at it because I have younger sisters that are a lot younger than I am. So they were on it, and then my oldest daughter started, being interested in it. So I naturally just like to know what my kids are into, obviously, because, especially with online. That's why I got it, really, just to see what it was and what they were talking about. And then it just started getting bigger. And yeah, my sister was like, yeah, why don't you put your lunches on there? Because they're super cute. I would take pictures and like put it on Facebook for my family. But again, I that food part didn't really click for me because I didn't go to culinary school and I was just like doing it was just like a normal thing for me. So for me, I wasn't like this is something I need to share. Whereas when I'm painting or, doing makeup, that was something I could share. But this I didn't think of until my sister was like, "Yeah, why don't you put that up there?" And so yeah, I put it up there and went viral. Pretty crazy.
How many views did it get?
Um, I think the first day it went like to like 5 million and then it just kept going up. And I think right now it's at like 30 something million, which is crazy. Yeah. And then from there, I just kept posting and every video was like, oh, like a million. And I think like a week later, I hit another really big milestone, which was that one is my number one video. I think it's at like 40 something million views, but that one was another one that went super viral because everything else stays pretty consistent. And then some of them would just go crazy viral. And then, yeah, and then like from there, I guess my video started going viral and then media outlets started reaching out to me. So, I've been on Good Morning America and Access Hollywood, um, Teen Vogue and Teen People and literally everywhere. I was everywhere and yeah, I was on the big like food section of Los Angeles Times. And yeah, so it just kind of went crazy. And like celebrities would comment on my videos and I'd be like, "Whoa, that's cool," you know. Yeah, it's been pretty wild.
Wow, all those like different news outlets, TV channels or shows. Was it all inbound? They just all reached out to you, or did you have an agency that helped sort of share your story?
No, it was just everyone just came to my email. Was like, hey, yeah, and like all the brands, everyone's just like, hey, we want to work with you. Hi, come on our show. It was just crazy because everything was just shut down. So the sucky part was like, I just kind of didn't get to meet a lot of people. It was just through Zoom and stuff. But I mean, it was still cool, but it was a little weird and not real life because it was through Zoom mostly too, So it was a crazy time. Crazy weird time.
And during all that process of like that period of all the different magazines and everything, were they reaching out because of that first viral video that everyone saw, or was it just because you kept posting and they were reaching out for like the whole, I guess, the whole you?
I think it was mostly because of the viral video, but since it was that viral video, every one of my videos would be pushed. So, like people tell me I'm the first video they saw when they downloaded TikTok, or I'm the first person they followed, So that's kind of how big of an impact that I had back then because there weren't many creators. I was one of the first food creators on that platform. And it was so new. Everyone was kind of talking about it, like TikTok, TikTok. And then the shutdown happened. So everyone was on the app. So it wasn't hard for people to know, like, oh, the lunch video. If you were on TikTok, everyone knew what video you were talking about, whether it was like a dog video or like a grandma video, like it was like everyone was in like a group chat pretty much that kind of knew what everyone was talking about. So, it was like that. Like I think once people started getting TikTok and knowing TikTok, they're like, "Oh, this mom, like her videos are going crazy." And so obviously one news outlet gets it and then that's kind of how it happens with the news is if you're on one, like other people want to get the story too.
With your understanding of how the social platforms work, like let's say someone's creating consistent content every single day, they're sort of getting three, four, 1,000 views. Could those same videos have gotten 1 million views if they initially had a viral video prior? Or if it got 1,000 views, then it would still get 1,000 views now, even if they got a viral video?
Viral videos will always raise your numbers because people are interested in you. Once you go viral, I mean, it's a little bit different now with the algorithm because people just scroll all day instead of like actually looking. But a little bit before, people just stayed on the FYP, like because IG Reels is the same. People just scroll all day. But in TikTok, a lot of the community building is they click on the person and they go and they'll binge watch all their videos, like or they'll go on the comment and then they'll look at like, oh, there's a part one or like it makes it so that you kind of like go and look at their stuff and like they started the pin ones and so you can kind of I don't know. So back then it was a little bit more where people built community. I feel like it's a little bit harder now because there's so many viral videos all the time, constantly, where people genuinely have to be like, "Oh, wow, I like this person's content," and then they'll go. But before people were nosy. So, they wanted to see anyways, but now, you really have to grab their attention or there has to be something that makes them stop, click on your name, and then go and watch your other videos, and then you'll get the other views. But the algorithm has changed too. Back when TikTok, it was like you post and either your video goes viral right then and there or not. Now it's you can have an older video go viral, or you can have a viral video go viral right away, stop, and then go viral again later because it's circulating through again. So I don't know. I feel like everything's changing constantly. So there's never going to be a definite answer, and no one really knows how everything works. So, it's kind of like a guessing game at this point.
Got it, Jess. So I guess you'd recommend people to film content around what they love and I guess be consistent with it, like a post a day. Any strategies? Because I know it's a bit hard to give a strategy when things are always changing. But I guess if you were to start from zero, or if your daughters were like, hey, I want to get into social media and they have an account with 0 followers, what sort of routine would you give them?
It's just to post, really. I tell people every day, like, it's like your lottery ticket. Are you gonna get one lottery ticket or are you gonna get three lottery tickets a day? Like that, literally your life, it's life changing. So why wouldn't you put out more content? Because that one content could go viral and change your life. So I will never say like, oh, you can only do one or like you're over posting. Like, no, like that's not true. And you don't know who's gonna see that video. You never know who's gonna see that video. Like there's people who follow me, I'm like, oh my gosh, and it's because you just never know who's gonna watch your video. Everyone's on their phone constantly. So even if you don't go viral, you never know. Like if you're an actor and a director sees you and you're perfect for his role, you just never know. So you just have to put it out there. And perfectionism doesn't work, like that's what holds people back is trying to be perfect. And you got to think people see 1 second. So it's like you can spend a month on something great, you know? But you waited a month to post that one thing and then like no one saw it. Then what? So kind of choose that to where you don't have to make this masterpiece of a thing to where you have to spend so many hours on everything. Obviously, if you want to, that's great, but it's not as logical in this type of game of short form.
Makes sense, Jess. What's your editing process like at the moment? Do you have like a backlog of content? Do you pre-plan things that you want to film for that week's worth of posts? What's your current process like?
I kind of half and half. I would love to be more planning and have a schedule and everything, but my life is just so crazy that I just can't plan out stuff as much as I would like to. And just with kids, like I'm a single mom with 3 kids. So it's just hard to do that while raising everyone. So for me, the way I work best is I just film everything. I just film what I want to. I'm always filming something, not in the way where I'm like, this is content. This is content. Like I just film what I like and what I'm doing just naturally because like I said I just grew up that way like just loving beauty and everything. So I just film and then I go back and sometimes I'll just be like, oh, I can make some kind of edit or like I won't even think about it. Like one of my viral videos, it went on the news and everything. And it was me filming because I was chopping something. So naturally, if I'm making a dish or if I'm cooking, I'm always filming just so I can, have it. And if I want a recipe video, I can have that. But my daughter, she was like, I love you. I'm proud of you. Please don't cut your hands. Like, and that's just how she is all the time, And so for me, it was like nothing. But then when I was looking back through my footage, I was like, oh my God, like that's so cute. I'm so happy that I caught that on camera because she's just so loving. And with kids, it's hard to film everything because once you start filming, they just are like, I'm not gonna say anything anymore. And yeah, like that little snippet of her just being like, "Hey, careful, mom. Watch your hands. I love you so much. I'm proud of you." Like that went viral because people were like, "Oh my God," like it's just a sweet little thing that's a real moment that I got to share and it wasn't something that I planned, and it wasn't something that I thought about or anything like that. It was just me chopping up some red radish that I was gonna use, like probably like a second of me chopping, not even like anything else. And so yeah, that's how I work. I literally just kind of film what I'm doing each day. If I feel like I have a cool outfit, I'll like share that. If I'm going to an event, I'll share that. I influence a lot of content creators, I feel like, because I was one of the first ones to do short form. So, I do a lot of political stuff. I do a lot of, I just kind of do what I feel and film as I go. And then if I get content out of it, great. I don't kind of force it because that's when I don't like filming. When I do have everything planned out, I'm like, "Ugh, I don't want to do it. It makes it more like work, I guess. And it goes for the same with like my cooking. People are always like, "Do you have all these lunches planned?" Like, yeah, yeah, I would love to say yes. I would love in a perfect world, yes. I have my grocery list, everything's pre-planned, everything's meal prep, but I live in the real world, so I just look at my fridge every morning and I'm like, what can I make? And that's just kind of how my brain works. And it works for me. So definitely not for everyone. Plan it out and have a routine definitely is more productive. But I work well under pressure.
Yeah, it's the saying, if it's working, don't fix it. You talk about political stuff. Is that something you're worried to do? Yeah, like I always thought creators we would want to avoid that.
Yeah, I have always just been political. I've always been like someone that can't really like be quiet if something's wrong. I just can't. Like there's something inside me that's like, go do something, or it will literally bother me. So like, if someone's fighting, I will go in the middle and try to fight it because I have, like that's just kind of who I am. I just feel the need to do what's right. And I've been like that since I was in high school. I basically, started fighting for gay rights and in government class. I didn't know I love government, but I recently had a high school reunion and one of my friends were like, "Oh yeah, do you remember us like always fighting for the top of the class in government?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I didn't remember that." But that really got me into it. And I don't know, for me, like everyone's always like, "Oh, what's next? What's next? Like what are you gonna work on next? Like what are your goals?" And for me, the only thing that really matters is if I make a difference in the world, for my kids, in any way possible. So that's really what I want to do and what I really care about. I don't really care about gaining more followers or, like, of course, I would love to make so much money and, like, whatever. But at the end of the day, if I can help kids get fed better, like parents to love their kids more, like that means more to me than anything that I could even think about, like, really. And so that really is why I talk about political stuff because not like I hate it. I honestly hate doing it because it brings in an audience that I don't want at all. Like I do not like Republicans on my page. Like I just don't want like that. And that's what it brings. And I know that, but that I do it because I care and I want to at least try to open up some minds, and like have people think a different way if they can. So that's why I do it, really for the greater good and for my kids, because I wouldn't do it because it's definitely not worth it to have all these haters, all like there's so much hate in that group of people that like I know posting anything political, I'll get that. I'll get regardless. And I know that. And I lose followers. So at the end of the day, people are like, "Oh, you're doing this for clout," or people are like, "Oh, you do this for like clout or attention or whatever." And I'm like, "No, not really." I at the end of the day, I lose followers. I bring in people that I don't want because I have the perfect audience. I have 90% women. Like I love my community. I love my community. So I'm like, I'm good. But I do it because it needs to be done. It's just something that needs to be done. And I'm not one to sit back and relax and like just let people do whatever they want that isn't right.
Makes sense. What's the last sort of political topic that you sort of voiced on and sort of brought light to?
Well, basically this last Saturday was the No Kings protest. So I was there. I posted about that. And then of course, just the immigration stuff. There's a lot of stuff happening because of Trump trying to deport everyone, and it's getting out of control. People are getting kidnapped. So, that's kind of what I've been really talking about is just people getting, kidnapped off the streets, like literally just human rights and just being a person and thinking like, hey, I understand we don't want illegal people here, like, yeah, I understand, but I don't understand the way people are getting snatched off the streets, literally, like they're literally, like animals that are killing people. I don't know. That's just how it is. So, yeah. And I basically have been super political since the presidential campaigns. And I try not to do it constantly because I feel like people start to drain it out and it becomes not as important. So I try to keep it at a level where I keep them happy and engaged and want to give them hope and in that way, but also want to share that, this is happening. This is real life. Like this is really what's going on. Because not everyone knows, not everyone knows.
It's like, oh, you talked about how your community is like 99% like females. How do you go about building community? Is it just replying to your comments? Yeah, it feels hard because people just are constantly scrolling. How do you build a community?
Yeah, basically just talking to them, like I make it a point to comment and read my messages, reply to my messages, and then obviously just being personal and sharing yourself in a way where they can relate to you, builds a community because I could just be food and that's just surface level. But, I share when I yell at my kids, I tell them like I yelled at my kids and I feel bad and I said sorry, like, or my mom died and I shared stuff about that. And, people really like, everyone knows someone that dies, like, so it's like if you share that with your community, they really understand and they really cry with you and, really feel those feelings with you because they feel like they know you, that because I don't just put food, I share my girls, I share myself, I share my boyfriend, or if I'm going through a breakup, like obviously I'm a very private person and I'm half introverted, so my sister is always like, you're definitely not made to be an influencer, but it makes me speak my feelings out loud, which helps me in return because I'm not usually like that. So that was a learning thing for me where I had to learn to share and I had to learn to open up to random people online because I'm not like that. I'm very to myself. I keep it, everything that's like bothering me, I keep it inside. So, now I feel very lucky because I do share a lot more. And yeah, that's why they're there for me. And they know that I'm here to do good. I'm not here to just take people's money. I'm here to, share good things in life and like just the political stuff, they really appreciate that I am speaking out because a lot of people don't.
How has the reach and sort of audience been over the last 5 years? Because I've seen so many creators pop off during COVID, and now they're maybe back to like a 9 to 5 job. They're not getting as many sponsorship as they used to. Yeah, what's the reach like, and how have you been able to stay consistent?
Uh, I don't know. I don't know because I'm so like different in a way where I just don't like work like everyone else. So I wish I could like tell people like this is kind of what I did. But like normally if that's something I would say as an advice, I probably wouldn't, like because if you want to grow and grow big and be successful, like you want to stay in your niche. Like that's like the right answer, but I didn't. So like I don't know what to say is right, is like, yeah, stay in your niche in what you want to do and grow that way. That's the fastest way to grow. That's the fastest way to, get recognized by brands because they know you for that one thing. People know you for that one thing. And that's great, that's great. But for me, like I didn't want to just be in food. I didn't want to just be in family because I feel like I have so much to offer in creative ways, like I said, I like fashion and beauty and painting and whatever else. So I just I did stay in my niche, but then I also listened to my audience halfway. Because slowly they'll be like, hey, we want, like, where'd you buy those clothes? We want a hair tutorial. So there's half of the people are gonna want more from you, and then half of the people are just gonna be like, well, I'm only here for your lunches. So that's kind of where you have to kind of read your audience and see what they want from you. If they want more, obviously give them more of yourself and what you want, like show them this is what you like. Like I showed them like this is what I like and they get interested. And so slowly I started to branch off to like, showing all these other sides of me. And then again, I wasn't there to like grow so much where like I can, and I would if I would have stayed in my niche, but I was pretty happy with obviously I did grow a lot, like, more than a lot of people can say. So I did get lucky, but for me, I was lucky enough to where I, branched off. People still stuck around, people were still interested. And so different companies started reaching out in like, like sports, like I showed people that I was interested in sports. So that's like a whole place that I never even thought I could be in, like, oh, food, I'm girls, I'm 90% women. I'll never be in like I'll never collab with a sports brand or anything. I collab with NFL. I got to go to the Roast of Tom Brady and got to go work with Lexus and the Golden Knights. I don't know, like, so it's like you can do what you want and stay there, but if like you have to be able to take risks if you want to, do other things, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I guess that doesn't really keep into the subject of relevancy, but I don't know. I guess that's kind of how I stay relevant in so many different arenas is I just show people what I'm interested in and what's cool and like I like wrestling, so I was invited to WWE, like I don't know. So it's just like you just have to stand out too, like stand out from what you're doing. Like you may be in food and there's a million food people, but once you start like showing like, hey, this is who I am, this is why I'm different. And you're different because you're you, like obviously I'm different because I'm just myself, but everyone has something that they can offer and that is special, and so I just kind of did that and in different arenas I went viral. I went viral for making, but also it's easy to branch off if you kind of tie in what you do. Like I started tying in movie quotes in my girls' lunch videos for their lunch notes because that's what I do. I put music lyrics, I put movie quotes, anything that we're into, like so then that kind of helped bring in different things, like the movie arena. If we're watching football or whatever, I would write like a Kobe Bryant, like. quote, and people know obviously like, oh, she's into basketball. So that way, I don't know. Yeah, just kind of staying relevant, showing, sh I guess first is like marketing yourself and branding yourself so people recognize who you are and what you do. And then from there, you can mark yourself in different ways.
Are you in a place where you're sort of confident that your audience will stay and it's going to keep building as you keep basically doing what you're currently doing? Or are you more in a place of, I don't know how long this would last, but let me make the most of it while I can?
I'm more of the person that I feel like I can lose anything at any time because I've lost everything in my life like through different things like divorce. My house got broken into. Like I had a house fire. I don't know. Like I've been through a lot where I have lost everything. So for me, even if it was a stable job or whatever, I never take anything for granted. So I just kind of think of it as like, oh, like this is great, right now. Like obviously I don't know what's gonna happen, but hopefully my kids can just do it and then I can just retire.
I love that. So, was it through the movie quotes that I guess WWE or Tom Brady, these NFL, they thought you'd be interested in these events because you would do basketball quotes or NFL? Like, yeah, how did you end up at Tom Brady's roast or WWE?
I don't know honestly, but I honestly don't know. But I started working with a lot of streaming services. Like I pretty much worked with every streaming service available. That's what people did, during COVID. They either watched movies and shows or they were on their phones. So I pretty much dominated the streaming service brand deals and then also the food at home delivery shopping services. So Instacart, DoorDash, all those I pretty much worked with everyone. And then from then I just kind of I guess like, Netflix kind of knows who I am, I guess, because I worked with them in different departments, whether it was promoting a movie or going to promote, they have other things like Netflix related, like pop-up restaurant stuff, So if there's food involved with an event, they usually are like, oh, Jessica, because she does food and she does entertainment. So in that way, I guess that's how they know. And then, in other ways, I think people ask like, what kind of creators do like not only entertainment, because a lot of people like to hire people from different arenas, even if they're not in that genre. Like, even if it's about like, an action movie, they'll still get creators that are food creators, that are like beauty creators, that are, you know, um, also movie creators, just so they can have different types of creators. But I hit a lot of like different ones. So, you know, it's easy to work with me because I do everything. I do travel, I do vlogs, I do, whatever, food.
So smart. Are there any other peers or any other creators that you follow that you've got an inspiration from where they're also doing it and known for a bunch of different things? Or are you sort of just not really, you're sort of focused on, you're not really watching?
I have a few creators that are kind of like me. They kind of one of my best friends, her name's Nava Rose, and she is a fashion creator. But again, she does a lot of other things. What I love about her is that she also advocates for, like the Asian American community. She talks about, some political stuff. I haven't seen her getting into it too much, but she speaks out on those things, on things that matter. And she also talks a lot about sustainability. So, like I love that she kind of ties everything into fashion, but also isn't afraid to speak out when she needs to.
Nice. How do you go
Yeah.
about connecting with other creators and entrepreneurs? Are you always seeing things you like and sending comments like dropping comments, hey, love your content? How do you go about with connecting, yeah, with other creators and entrepreneurs?
I mean, that's pretty much it. You just start liking people's stuff and commenting, and that's really a big thing that I tell people is, I honestly support everyone. And a lot of people feel very like taboo, like, oh, I'm not gonna like everyone's stuff or like comment. But like I don't, like I watch a full video, I'll comment on it. If I like a video, I will let you know because I know what it takes, to make a video, let alone post and, have it, sit there, whatever. So as far, even like on my FYPs, there's some videos that have like 0 views and it lands on my FYP and I'm always like, hey, you made it to my FYP. Like that's first step of going viral is literally just showing up on people's feeds. So I always show that support and that's kind of how I built all my relationships. I also built a lot of relationships through Clubhouse when that was a thing, because people weren't seeing each other in person, and Clubhouse just kind of got big with food creators, and we would just sit on the phone all day long just talking to each other. It was like a big group chat, on like a party line. And so a lot of the food creators and stuff, a lot of the Asian American community creators that I became friends with, are from Clubhouse. And then yeah, just from online, like we just say like, hey, I like your stuff and they like my stuff. And also there's a lot of creator events now. So it's cool to be around different creators at those events because it's like a lot of creators like it's a lonely job because it's just you and the camera most days. So it's cool when you actually get to, be around everyone that does the same thing.
Got it. That's awesome, Jess. Are there any cool stories of how like a DM or a comment turned into like an awesome friendship or turned into like a deal, sponsorship?
Um, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I don't know. Like, I became friends with Kamala Harris's niece. And it was just through, online. And before I got to meet her, I was like, hey, can I make you lunch? And then she commented like, yeah. And then like, I brought her lunch in person when I got to meet her. So, that and like I don't know, like I have like Cascade follows me, Marshmello follows me, Meghan Trainor follows me, Halsey follows me, like like and those are just people liking me because they saw my video. And so yeah, and like, Marshmello one time sent me a link and was like, "Hey, I'm coming out with these children's songs. Like, let me know what your kids think." Like even that alone is like, whoa. And like I got to meet like Jason Derulo's son because I became friends with his baby mama. I don't know. It's just insane because yeah, like a lot of people know who I am if I just say like, hey, I'm the mom who makes lunch on TikTok and um pretty wild.
Wow, that's so cool, Jess. Do you edit all your videos on CapCut on your phone? Or what's your editing process at the moment?
Yeah, pretty much just on my phone. I use InShot mostly. I also used the TikTok app because when I started TikTok, I filmed on the app. I didn't, use anything else. I filmed on the app, I edited on the app. So for me, it's very comfortable for me to do everything on there. But InShot mostly just because again, is convenience and time. And for me, I sacrifice the quality and precision of editing on a computer and filming on a camera with the speed that I get my videos out and the convenience of working anywhere without anything else but my phone. So, yeah, I mean, I've tried filming, I've tried using like it just slows down my process. So, for me, it's like a no-brainer. And my followers like they could give a crap about how clean and like I feel like those videos like do worse when I actually spend time to like, work with a filmer and a camera and like have a, like spend time editing longer. I feel like those videos actually don't do as good because it's not as real.
Given that you want to keep it simple and just use your phone, are you always upgrading to the latest iPhone every time it comes out?
I do. I try to because usually, yeah, something's wrong with my phone normally by the time I need an upgrade. But I think the iPhone 11 has the best camera in my opinion.
Really?
Um,
Better than
yeah,
like
I
the
feel like
12, 13, 15, 16?
yeah, so far I feel like it's the way the light, like I don't know how to explain it, but it makes all the pictures look brighter around than everything else after. Everything else after, I feel like it darkens the area around you're taking a picture, whereas 11 brightens it up or is more true to its color. I don't know. That's just kind of what I've noticed. And I always say like nothing beats that 11.
Wow. I think I'll tell my sister that because I handed on my 11 to her. So yeah, she'll be happy to hear that.
Yeah.
When you post, do you repost onto the other platforms? Like, do you just repost onto Instagram, YouTube Shorts? Do you just copy and paste the captions over? What's your
Yeah.
process like?
Yeah, I just pretty much reposted. I mean, it just depends. I kind of post how I feel on different platforms. Sometimes I focus on TikTok, and so TikTok will get most of my videos, and then like I'll leave my other children out because I don't feel like posting on that platform. I don't know. I go by feeling a lot. Like obviously that's not how everyone should work, but for me, when I'm very dedicated to a platform, like I can guarantee like to grow it. So I'm usually focused on one platform at all times just because I'm into it. Like right now I'm into Threads and Instagram because I like the people there more right now. And so right now I post there like way more than any other of my platforms. So it kind of changes on how I feel and how I like, TikTok's my little baby audience. Like they're the younger ones. So I don't post everything on there as much as I post on Instagram's my older crowd. It's like my mommy crowd, and I can talk about more of like my relationships on there or like I'm more personal on Instagram, definitely, like that's where I talk about like my mom or like if I'm sad or like anything like that, that's kind of where I go. And then Threads is like my political community. Like it's so happy there and I feel very supported in that way. Like everywhere else, if I'm political, I can guarantee I'm gonna get like just stupid people all day. But on Threads, I'll get, like-minded people that I can actually talk about stuff with and feel very hopeful. So different ages, different groups. YouTube, I feel like, is also a younger crowd, but it's also more international. So, it's a little bit different. Like I'm not as political over there because kids don't understand. And also it's more worldly based. So
Would most of your content then be single platform where you're just posting at one time on that one platform, or do you think half of your content will be reposted everywhere else?
yeah, I mean, eventually I'll get reposted. I just don't like post everything everywhere all at once, I guess, because number one, I just don't have the capacity. I just don't want to like spend the time to do it because I'm not as invested in those other, like I said, I don't care about growing as much. So like if it's not like for me, I guess it's not like a meaningful post, then like I can just skip it because I'm not trying to at the end of the day, yeah, of course I would love millions and millions of more followers, but that's not kind of what I'm going for. So for me, if I feel a post and I want to be like, I'm so political right now because of everything. So I'm just constantly posting on Threads and on Instagram. And I'm not posting on YouTube because for me that it's not that important. So that's just kind of how I work. If you want to stay consistent, you want to, and grow, obviously don't be like me. Don't be like, oh, feel post when you feel like that's terrible. But um again, like I also like to give 100% to one thing, rather than separating myself into everything. And the success of social media is like you actually have to be on it and like know what's going on. Like TikTok, I was so successful because I got the inside jokes. I was on the platform. I know what's viral. I know what's popular because I'm watching and engaging. So I can't be like that on every platform. It's just physically impossible. So right now, I know like I know how it is on Threads. I know how it is on Instagram. I know pretty much how it is on TikTok at all times. And YouTube, I'm always figuring out because it is my kids. But again, I just have to, I just ask my kids and, those kind of videos aren't like the kind of videos that I put out. So yeah.
With YouTube, have you been dabbling into long form or has it still been YouTube shorts?
Yeah, I go in and out of the long form content. I always want to put it out there because it's just stability on YouTube and that, with content creating, I guess if there is any stability in creating content, it's long form videos on YouTube. It's people know that that's how it goes. And so obviously I have done long form, but it's like it for me, it's just not as fun filming a long video. Like I said, I'm very blunt to the point. I don't like putting a lot of fluff. And so for me, even a cooking video, I'm like I don't want to like drag it out. And at the end of the day, I can tell you how to make everything in literally like 2 minutes. So that was kind of my struggle, was like doing it because I wanted to give more information to my audience, like a long video where I explain more things. But it's for me, it's like torture filming and editing a long video because it's so long and time consuming. So, but I want to post. I have all these vlogs that I have like ready to go that I've been waiting on posting because for me, I wanted to just remember just all our memories of our like traveling and stuff together with my kids because we do get to go do really amazing things. So yeah, I just have to work on it. I just have so much on my plate. So
I remember
yeah.
seeing your reel or your short with you going to like an event or festival with your sisters, and I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, and we went to it was like a Asian American based music festival.
Was it 88 Rising?
Yeah, it was.
Mm. With Threads, how does it compare to X? Like I also recently saw a friend, he's like a musician. He is like launching and promoting his song on Threads. So like like I'm starting to see it pop up. What's the deal with Threads?
Yeah, it's just basically like Twitter. But pretty much everyone got sick of Twitter, like after Elon Musk took over and everything started changing. So people just went over to Threads naturally, and then it's connected to Instagram. So Instagram made it really easy for you to switch over because you can even just like follow everyone that you follow on Instagram through Threads. So I think the convenience made it easy for everyone to go over, but also everyone was going over because of the political stuff, and they were like, a lot of the hateful was left on Twitter, and a lot of the non-hateful people went over to Threads. So it kind of stayed that way. And Twitter started getting bad with like just like OnlyFans type of promotion type tweets, and like there was a lot of clutter going on, and so Threads kind of started that. And then yeah, it's just a little bit nicer, quieter, not as infiltrated by ads yet. So it's nice.
Awesome. Is right now you're still is TikTok still your biggest platform at the moment, Jess? And how, given that you're sort of focused more on threads, like what's over the last week, how many posts would you have on your TikTok?
On my TikTok, I don't even know. Let's see my insights. I don't even check my numbers ever. Mm.
Are all your notifications off? Because you'd be just bombarded, right?
Yeah, I don't have them pop up because then my battery would just be crazy
Yeah,
drained.
yeah.
Um, sorry, 1 second. How many did I post? One, two, three, four, five, six, 7,
Whoa. Seven, like,
8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I did 12 in June so far, I guess, on TikTok, but I did
wow.
37 on Threads. And on Instagram is
Wow.
probably like triple that. But I
Whoa.
constantly post.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a machine. Huh?
Yeah, because when I thought you were like saying, "Oh, I'm focused on threads at the moment," I thought the numbers on those other platforms would be low, but you're like low is still quite more than average, the average person. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think like my monthly posting content on Instagram alone, and this is counting like stories and everything, it's like close to like 250 to like 300 per month. So, but yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of content that I put out there.
And the stuff that people see on your TikTok, they won't see on your Instagram, and the stuff that people see on your Instagram won't see on your TikTok.
Most of my stuff that people won't see is just like Instagram, and then everything else I'll post. But Instagram gets like more of the personal, silly stuff that I don't post anywhere else.
Wow. And then go straight to stories or reels, home
Mhm.
feed.
stories, reels, posts.
Oh, wow.
I kind of switch it up all the time depending on what I have.
That's so cool, Jess. Also, last question. I saw your Gordon Ramsay. That was so cool. Like, I think that was one of your pinned posts. You like, how was that experience? What was that like, being in the food niche?
It was amazing. I mean, it's Gordon, so that's kind of like the big boss, like the final boss of like food.
Yeah, yeah.
But he actually was so sweet and nice, and I was just scared because I was like, oh my God, I don't want to get yelled at, like.
Yeah, yeah.
But he was just so nice and sweet. And I don't get starstruck because I worked in Las Vegas. Like I was a server and I've served and worked with every celebrity, and but with him, I literally was like, oh my God, like I couldn't stop like staring. And it was more because of his aura and charisma more than like obviously his looks or anything. He's a great looking man, don't get me wrong, but it was the way he presented himself and it was the way he just was so good at what he did, like he went in there, did his thing, and I was just like, wow, like that's so cool because, this is what he does. Like he comes in and films and he's a natural, because he's done it for so long. And on top of that, he was very sweet and, he talked to us before we went out and filmed, and gave us like a, talk like, hey, don't be nervous, we love you. Like that's why we brought you guys here. And he told me I cooked my steak perfectly. So, that was one of the best compliments I could get from, cooking and me obviously not being professionally trained was a good kudos.
What a cool story, Jess. Um,
Yeah.
I definitely, I'm gonna install Threads right after this and start scrolling and start seeing what the deal is.
Oh yeah, so on Threads I actually went viral so I asked, okay, so I'm dating, right? I'm dating and so I was like, all right. And I'm someone that's been in long-term relationships pretty much my whole adult life. Obviously, I have kids. So for me, I was like, all right, well, I want to know like what's good about being with me, what's bad, like whatever. So I asked all my ex-boyfriends, I asked them this question. I said, like, what was the best thing about dating me? And they all answered. And so I shared that on Threads and I and that went viral. And then people were like, "Oh, well, why don't you ask them what the worst thing about you was?" Like because some people are like, that's self whatever, like conceited or whatever, like whatever. And I was like, yeah, bet I'll do it, And so I asked them that too, and like they said whatever, and so I posted that too. But that was like my biggest viral Threads moment. So it's kind of funny to go viral for different things because like on Threads they kind of technically know me for my dating life, more than like, oh, she's a mom who does lunches. So it's kind of funny to, have audiences different like that.
Did you post like a thread with like three screenshots of three replies, or yeah, how did it work? And I'm curious of the answers. What were the answers?
Oh yeah, you want me to pull it up? I did the screenshot thing at first, but then like nobody saw it because Threads is a reading app. So like photos and videos, like they do good, but like you have to like have context or like, it's words. So people go there to read, not watch or listen or like, anything like that. So when I posted the screenshots, like nobody cared. But I just wrote it out. I wrote it out and then that's literally how it went viral because I it was the same thing, but just in like, and then people were like, oh, you made this up or like whatever. And like, why didn't you post screenshots? And I was like, I did. Like, you guys didn't want to read. But yeah, if you want to wait, I can try to look it up for you.
Yeah, so you did the what was the best thing and what's the worst thing? Yeah, I'm curious to see what was the general
Yeah, it
consensus.
was kind of fun to ask because like
Yeah.
some of them like I hadn't talked to in like 25 years, like
Whoa, that
because he
far
was
back.
my first boyfriend in high school. And most of these people I stopped talking to because I'm just like that. If, like we break up, we don't talk anymore. So, I'm sure it was kind of weird for them to be like, oh, what? But I'm again weird and different and not like everyone else. So for them to get that, they probably were like, oh, it's just Jessica being Jessica. Like,
Yeah.
you
How
know, if anyone's gonna do that, it's her.
did they all
Uh,
reply?
they did, and they replied right away. But like, which I love because I wanted their raw, like on top of their mind type of thought right away. You know, I didn't want them to sit on an answer or like I don't know, think about it too long or, you know, rehearse anything. I just wanted their like real thoughts, and they did really write back soon. So, and they didn't really ask me why. Like, I think they did. Um,
Especially the like first two boyfriends, like do they know that you're like on social media and you're like now like everywhere on TikTok, or are they not in the know?
I think most of them know because I keep in touch with all of their moms and their sisters.
Oh,
So
really?
the moms and their sisters follow me. They buy my cookbooks. They still say I love you and I miss you. And so for me, I think they know
That's so
because,
cute.
you know, I still have a good relationship with them.
Wow.
But other than that, I don't really talk to them or like, you know, follow them or anything. I mean, I do now some because I reached out, you know, but before then, like most of them hurt me, so that's why I like cut them out of my life. So, sorry, it's kind of hidden. I'm almost there.
A lot of girlfriends struggle with their partner's mother, but you've done a great job with keeping contact with every single mother.
Yeah, I mean, that's like my favorite part of having a relationship is usually, you know, getting close with our families. And yeah, I love, and most, and, like, I think like every single one of my ex-boyfriends had a sister. So naturally, I just would get close with them, you know, like some of them, they were like waxers, they would wax my body for me. Like we were really close. So I think the hardest part about breaking up with them was breaking up with their families because you know, I love them still. And yeah, some of them still talk to me and text me. And like I said, the moms, you know, like they're still like, I'm proud of you. You know, we bought your cookbook. It's very sweet. And I'm sure if they have girlfriends now, I'm sure they don't like it, but
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
Where is it? But then I started dating people, and then I was like, is it weird that they know that I asked my, you know, like I don't know. It's very hard to be dating like in like my situation because obviously I have kids, I have audience.
yeah. How do you meet?
You know, it's a lot. It's a lot.
How do you meet people at the moment? Is it apps? Is it friends of friends? Is it blind dates? Like, yeah.
Recently, I'm just using the apps because I've tried the whole like dating content creators and like people in I just don't want to do it anymore. Because you see them like at events and stuff. So I'm like, I don't know if I like seeing them.
What's been the best app? Is it been like Hinge, Tinder, Raya?
I use Hinge just because I feel like guys talk more like instead of just liking, they'll like say something. And for me, like I like more effort than a like of a picture. So
Are you
that's why I like Hinge because I've tried Tinder and it's very like gamey where it's gamey and superficial where it's just like you either like or swipe and that's it. There and then like they don't even talk to you, you know, and it's like why am I here? Like just to look at pictures? Like that's what social media is. And and then Bumble I was on Bumble at first and that's I dated someone from there for 2 years and he was in my videos. That was like my last like real relationship. And Bumble I was on there because girls get like talk to the guys like and I just didn't want random guys talking to me the whole time. So that's why I got Bumble and then I got my boyfriend. And then we broke up and then that's when tried Hinge and I was like, oh, I like this better because guys aren't just like, I mean, but you know, they don't, they, you know, or they make more of an effort, I guess. I just don't match with people that don't give really effort anyway. So
It reminds me of what you talked about, how different social media platforms has like a different vibe, a different audience, a different.
yeah, it's the
It's
same
the
thing.
same
It's
thing,
all
yeah.
social media, literally. It's social media app. I swear.
Does your oldest child follow your love life through your social? Like, does she follow you on your social platforms and basically, um, know
No, I
what's
talked to
happening?
her about it before I even tell my online. Like she knows pretty much if I'm dating someone or if I'm going on dates or like she knows I'm on Hinge.
Wow, that's so
Yeah, my
cool.
oldest daughter, I tell her obviously like age appropriate stuff, but I'm open enough to where I'm like, hey, I'm going on a date with, someone new, or if I'm talking to someone, I'd be like, and she's the first one to know like if I actually have feelings for that person or anything like that. So, no, she doesn't have Instagram. She has TikTok's the only thing that I really let her have. So again, like she doesn't really see my Instagram unless she asks. Sometimes she'll be like, "Can I look through your stories?" And I will let her. But no, because yeah, she knows more before anybody else, really. I don't even tell my audience a lot about my dating life right now. They want to know so bad, but one of my biggest Google searches is Jessica Wu husband.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, which is funny.
It's so good that you have such great communication with your kids. Where did that come from, Jess?
Just talking to them, I always felt like the biggest thing that like I didn't have with my parents growing up was communication, like I kept everything. Again, like it was my personality, but also it's like Asian culture to like shut up and listen and like agree with everything that parents say. So, I couldn't tell them about like having sex or like anything, like I was scared to even say anything about anything. So, it changed when I got older with my mom too. And but that was like the biggest thing. It was like I wish I was closer with my parents and they lied a lot about little stuff to protect you, like being Asian, like I feel like you understand. But so I don't want to be like that, I don't want to keep them from like, obviously, I want to protect them from certain things, but like kids can take a lot of things and they know more than you think. A lot of people think kids don't know anything, but they do, they know more than you know. They even, I don't know. And so my biggest thing was speaking to them like a person and not like as a child or a baby. So growing up, I just spoke to them, explained a lot of things, and just, sit there and took the time to just talk to them. And I think that made a huge difference because even the way they speak as a child, everyone, that was their number one compliment that I would get was how well spoken they were and how they could really express their feelings and express and explain anything they really wanted to, like vocally, because that's a lot of kids can. And that's why a lot of kids act out because they feel, but they can't express it in a different way, like communicating. So that was my biggest thing was just talking through everything, not just saying no, don't do that. I would say why and why it's wrong and what's the right way to do things. So I made it a big point to not just say no and yell and explain things. And I think that's really what it is. And also sharing yourself, like me sharing stuff about my relationships and like explaining to them why I'm not with their dads, like stuff like that really opens them up to where they come to you, like my daughter came to me because one of her classmates said like they were going to try acid, and she came up to me and told me. And that was in sixth grade, like people don't think that kids are even thinking about drugs at sixth grade, but surprise, they do. Like, and so, like she was comfortable enough to let me know. And, and also I was happy to know that she knew that was wrong. But yeah, really it's just showing them that you're vulnerable, you can open up, you can be truthful, you can say sorry, all those things make your relationships better and with anybody, not just children, like that's with anybody. Like in a personal relationship, if I'm vulnerable and I talk to you and explain things, like obviously it's going to be a better relationship than being resentful and not talking, pushing people away and just being like, oh, they're kids, they don't know, they don't need to know, like that's wrong because they do know. And they have all these opinions and thoughts and all they can do is resent you for not telling them and keeping them, you know. So yeah, that's really what it is just having that relationship to be able to be vulnerable with them
Another
and they'll be with you.
Another quick question. So, like, let's say I jump forward 10 years into the future. I'm like 36, I have a kid, and the kid's like, hey, Andy, like, what's your thoughts on on drugs. And then like, what's your thoughts on this answer? If I'm just like honest with the kid, I'm like, yeah, like I didn't really try it, but then like when I turned, like my mum was really strict, but when I turned 18, I tried it. It was pretty good, but then at the same time, I know it's really dangerous because like you don't know what you're getting. You could die. So what you're taught at school is pretty true. Like I wouldn't recommend it because it's quite dangerous. But I'm like even questioning if my answer is good as I'm saying. It's like,
Right. But that's the thing. Like, no matter what your answer is, they're gonna either do it or not.
yeah,
It doesn't matter. Like how strict you are, you can literally say, I will kill you, and they'll go do it anyway.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, like you'll never know what the outcome it will be. So as long as you can communicate, like, hey, this is bad, but this is what I did, and like this is what I would like you to do. Like, obviously, like I would like you to wait till you're, more grown up, more responsible, having people around you that care about you to do it with them, or whatever it is, like whatever you want to say, whatever your beliefs are about trying drugs or whatever it is, like just being able to open up and being vulnerable is gonna just make that relationship better, for where they'll think about like, oh, my dad told me this is what he did, and this is, like these are everything that he told me, good and bad, and then they'll make a decision from there, instead of just being like making a decision on hatred of like, oh, I hate my dad. He never lets me do anything. I'm gonna go do drugs anyway, It could be that. Or it could just be like, my dad doesn't talk to me about anything. Who cares? I'm just gonna try it anyway. So, like for me, it's better to communicate and give them the information that they have, rather than the other stuff where I'm super strict and these are the rules. You're gonna get like, I could be that way. And then I also can just be like the nonchalant, like non-talking, like whatever. Like I would rather have the communication relationship, like out of the three. And in my way, in my like experience, I think for me, I like that way. I like that my kids can come talk to me and they're not just gonna be like, oh, well, I'm just gonna do whatever I want anyway. Like I don't care. They care. If you show that you care, they care that you care. At the end of the day, your kids just love you. They want to be with you. They want to do everything with you. Like, and that's where the separation happens, is where parents start to be like, they're so annoying. I want my own time. I need a breath, or like, and then they start pushing them away, like, go to your room, be quiet. And then they start, and then they'll like play on their, computers all day long with their friends, whatever. And then they won't have that relationship. And then once you're like, oh, well, my kid never wants to hang out with me, it's because you shut them out, like that's not how they're born. They're born to literally rely on you for everything. And they want to literally be on your leg and be held all day long. They're just like a dog, like they just want attention and love, and that's really what it boils down to. And, you know, that's what it is. Like I feel like all these angry, like old people, it's because they weren't loved enough and they didn't get those conversations.
have you been
So
able to apply that same communication mindset with your dad, or is it too like I'm thinking of my mom and my like sisters. Like I feel like it's gonna be too hard to just be transparent with everything to them because they're just so especially my mom. She's so judgmental, so she'll just be disappointed. She'll just be judging everything I say and do, and it always like it feels like it's easier to not keep my mum in the dark, but sort of just try to be a good son for her. But then I want to have an open communication ship with my kids and be honest and say everything. It feels easier because you're starting with a blank slate. But with my mum, she's 60 years old. Yeah, your thoughts there?
it's better to do it. Like, as much as like it's scary and you don't want to be shunned by your parents, like I feel like the only chance I got to like ever say how I felt and like whatever was when my mom was dying, and like that's not the time to do that when she's dying, because like what's that gonna change? Nothing. Like she's already dying. So, like that's the thing, is you'll regret it if she's gone tomorrow. Like you'll have all those resentments towards your parents because you never got to tell them how you felt and how they made you feel, like even if it's bad, like, and I know how hard that is. Like, I know how hard having Asian parents with high expectations and, a certain, like, I'm definitely not a model Asian, like I have tattoos, I'm like dating different races, like the typical, like I'm very, like, but that's just kind of like you learn to, be more yourself with age and be able to, talk to your parents with age and they understand more with age. So there's never going to be a right time. It's never going to get easier. So, it's better to do it now for them to understand who you are as a person and growing up and what really hurt you and what, for you to move on and have a better relationship with your parents, like this is what has to happen. Because then you'll just you'll resent them, and you'll literally resent them and hate them for it because it hurts, like it hurts and they don't understand. But they don't understand also because you haven't said anything. So you have to think about it in that way. And no matter how much they yell at you, like they'll still love you, at the end of the day, they're your parents. And Asian parents are not like, I don't think like Western white parents where they're just gonna beat you up and, shun you and exile you if you're gay. Like I think the love is deeper rooted to where they might not understand now, but they'll think about it, they'll think about it and they might not never understand, but it's okay. And that's something that you can at least know and move on from than having it held inside of you.
Mm. Like for example, like if my mom would be like, "Hey Andy, like if you're like struggling with finances, you should just sell your car. You don't need it. It's a big bulky car."
Yeah.
I can either be truthful and be like, "Mom, every time you say that, it annoys me. It pisses me off. Like I like my car. I'm not. I don't want to sell it yet. I know things aren't going well, but things are going to pan out. I want you to trust me a bit more." And then her then replying, "Oh, I'm just telling you out of love. Like you should get something that I can drive and the whole family can use. You shouldn't overextend yourself, blah blah," and go down that route. Or I can just dodge that comment and sort of not address it. I guess you would recommend the first option, is it?
Yeah, and I mean, maybe you can go out a different way. Like, hey, this is why I want to keep my car. And then you can be like, this is what I plan on doing to make more money
Mm,
elsewhere to keep the car. Like maybe say it in that way, and then she'll understand, like, okay, he's not just keeping the car just to keep the car, or whatever the reason might be. Like, who cares if you want to keep the car? Like, that's your choice. But, like maybe just show her in a different way. Like, this is what I'm gonna do because I want to keep the car and I'm not gonna sell it. Then she'll be like, okay, like obviously if you're gonna work on different ways to like help you pay for other things, then obviously she's not gonna be like sell the car, maybe just approaching it in a different way if you can, because not everyone talks and thinks like you, like obviously for me it's like common sense for certain things, but if everyone thought the same we wouldn't be in this political climate either. So trying to talk to people in different ways.
What's your advice for like little jabs? My mum would do these little jabs where I might visit and she'd be like, "Oh wow, son, I haven't seen you in so long. You're going out all the time." Yeah, like I don't like. I'm just like I don't know how to respond. I'm here to visit you. I guess I can
And
just
some
be.
parents are just like that, like they'll never be like you're obviously there, you know. So obviously not everything you can be like, what's your problem? Like that's just I think that's just telling passive aggressively telling you like, hey, I want you around more. But she's not gonna straight up be like, I miss you, son. Can you stay with me longer and hang out? Some people just can't say it that, like how easy would that be if your mom said, I love you, son, hang out with me today. Can we do this? I miss you. Like obviously that's what you want, but that's just not the way she communicates. She communicates in a passive aggressive manner where you're like, you're always gone. What are you even doing? Are you doing drugs? But in the same way, it could mean what I said, like, I miss you. I want to be with you. But instead, she's just like, what the hell are you doing? Are you, like whatever it is. Maybe think about it in that way and not get so angry because, she's your mom. At the end of the day, like, yeah, they're so annoying. They're, they're supposed to be annoying, but they love you so much. And, like I said, I've lost everything. So for me, I try to just think about that. I would do anything if my mom was a bitch to me every day. Like I would do anything to have that back, just to have her. But I don't, so you just have to think about that. Think about, like we don't get our moms forever. We don't get our dads forever, and we don't get our kids, like our kids grow up and move away. So I just try to be the best person I can for them while I have them. And you just have to think about life that way, like if you know that you're gonna lose someone or lose your job or you care more. You care more. And that's really what it's about, like at the end of the day, it's letting people know that you love them and spend time with them. Like that's it. Like that's really what life is all about. Like my mom's gone and like the only thing I wish I could do is just spend more time with her, not be more rich, like and my mom wasn't the most perfect mom either. So that's my life 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 advice is just appreciate what you have and the people that love you because that's really all that matters.
Thank you so much, Jess. I really appreciate it. Did you ever end up finding that thread?
I did. Okay. So I said recently I asked all my exes what the best thing about dating me was. They all responded right away. Some of them I didn't speak to over 15 years. And then I said, I'm glad they didn't think too much of it. Or I basically said I'm glad that they responded right away because, I didn't want them to think too much into it and tell me the first thing that came up. Okay, so these were not in order because I didn't want people to guess because if you know me, you know exactly who these people are. It's I sent it to my group chat first and all my girlfriends get like they were all playing the guessing game of which ex it was. Okay, so
Uh,
this ex said you were compassionate, loving, and outrageously fun and so smart. Also sweet and respectful. This one said the love for you, the love from you and the kids. It was so much, so much. I felt like I had reunited with someone not just met for the first time. The jokes, the laughter, and the silliness, just holding you tight. I loved holding your hands. It was incredible. I learned how to love from you. This one said, you were very kind, loving, and smart. I was as much attracted to you for physical reasons, but also your personality. To me, you had it all. One of them said, I don't feel comfortable talking about this. That's my last ex. Like, it's because he's still butthurt that we're not together. Next one said, your sense of humor matched mine. It was really easy. We were always friends, so it was easy to get along. And now that I think about it and date now, like people just play a role and like we never had to pretend to be anyone else.
all the messages are like they still love you.
Yeah, they're very, oh my God. I was like, oh my God, these are very deep because I didn't expect they would be like, oh, you were fun, or like sweet.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
they were very, yeah, they
They're like,
said, one was really deep. He said, probably the way you looked into my heart through your eyes.
Wow.
Yeah, that one was my first boyfriend. Yeah. And then that was, I think six of them, seven of them.
Wow. Do you have the thread of the negatives? Did you ask
And then
them?
the negatives, yeah. And then I asked them the negatives. And that one took a lot longer for them to respond, actually.
Maybe it was because it was hard for them to think of any negatives.
Because I just love people. Like I just love them like fully and I'm very loyal. And usually the guys are the ones that are insecure. And so they'll start like doubting themselves. It's usually that like they just that's just also like with me, I'm very comfortable with who I am and like, like I feel like I am who I present to be online and in person. Whereas a lot of people still don't know who they are. They don't know what they want to be. So, a lot of guys still struggle with that. And like obviously being with a strong woman, independent woman is kind of hard. Okay. So here it is. What's the worst thing about dating me? One said, I suppose the worst part was at the end after I ruined the relationship, the way in which you disconnected from me. And then this one said, me, I'm the worst part, my own self being not ready.
Oh,
Yeah.
they all regret the decision.
It just kept tainting everything over and over. It just kept making everything worse and worse when it didn't have to be. I made everything so unnatural. I wanted to be your knight in shining armor here to save you and finally love you. This one was my ex-husband. He just said, sometimes stubborn and a little bossy. This one said we were on different timing. You were raising your kids and grown up, and I just wasn't. And you were coming off such a drastic life change from being divorced and kids. And I feel like we just went all gas right out the gate. And then someone said, seeing the person I fell in love with give up on me, like I meant nothing to you. That was the worst part. Lesson learned. I think that's what it said.
None of them were like anything about you specifically. Yeah, like I guess you're like really really a good partner. Yeah, they're all.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I do everything like I give my all into everything that I do. And so, that's the same way with my relationships. And I love being in relationships. I love loving someone. So for me, it's like, it's easy to be a girlfriend because I like loving someone. I like doing stuff for people. I love spoiling people. But yeah, on the other hand, it's like all these people have never been loved, number one, so they don't really know what to do. And then number two, again, it's like the insecurity stuff. It's like, they start questioning, like, do I deserve her? Do I deserve this? Like anything like that. I don't know. It's very internal, and it's either that or it's either they were like doing drugs or like alcohol. Like it was external factors that there was nothing I could do to help because I've tried and gave them chances and everything. And that's the thing. Yeah. Like they know, like, obviously, if they didn't have like a problem with whatever insecurities or drinking or whatever everything else was. But so yeah, so I know that was kind of crazy because I obviously didn't think that they would answer right away, first of all, and then I didn't think it was gonna get that deep because it's been so long.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know when you.
When you love someone fully, it's they can't say anything bad about you.
Yeah. Do your younger sisters hang out with your group of friends and your group of girls? Do you ever invite your sisters along, not really?
They do, but not really. I mean, they know my best friends and stuff, but it's a little bit different because all my best friends are like my best friends from middle school also. So it's a little bit different type of dynamic where if I have a Christmas party, everyone hangs out. But if I go like have a girls' night, sometimes my sister will come, but sometimes it'll just be me and my girls.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this. Last two questions we always wrap up these podcasts with. One, any recent discoveries that you've been implementing to your day to day life, or the last thing you've added to your day to day life?
Uh, whatever. I don't know. I guess I added two puppies. More responsibilities for me. Oh my gosh. But yeah, no, I was just going through a lot of like sad stuff. And so and then I got really into it with one of my best friends growing up because they voted for Trump. And so, I was just going through a lot. And so I got two puppies to, even out the negative, oh my God, in my life. But yeah, that's the only thing that I've added, I guess. Nothing really new besides that.
Love that. And then the last question, any personal goals for the next 6 months that's not work related?
Personal goals, I guess I'm always just trying to be healthier. Just working on not being so bad. I guess I don't know. I like to party, so just that being better overall. Whatever that means.
Are you strict, or do you plan to be strict with your daughters, or what's the plan there?
I'm pretty strict in some ways, I guess, and I'm pretty not strict in some ways. My kids know what's right and wrong. They don't really have to like, I don't have to really tell them, now, like what's wrong, what's not, they know. And so, and they make good choices, and they communicate with me. And for me, it's not about like being strict or not strict. It's having open communication with my kids. And if they can come to me for anything and trust me, and feel safe around me. And they do. So for me, that's kind of like the most important thing because it doesn't matter how strict you are. It doesn't matter how many rules you have. They're gonna either follow it or not, like it does not matter. So for me, it's just having a good relationship with them more than anything, where if they do something wrong, they can come apologize to me. Or if they don't know what the right choice is, they can also come up to me and ask, be able to be open in that way.
With your younger sisters, given the age gap, are you guys usually hanging? Are they usually just hanging with just you? You're going out, sort of having fun, or are they hanging out with you and your kids?
It's everything. Like we hang out alone, we hang out together. My sisters and I are really close and they love me and look up to me and they want to do everything with me. So, whether it's going out clubbing or going to a music festival or if we're doing something as a family, like we just love each other. We're a very loving family and we love doing things like we love doing everything together. So yeah, we whether it's like whatever, like concert or going camping or, just staying home and watching a movie, doesn't really matter.
Are they nearby in Vegas?
One of them actually lives with me. So one lives with me, and that's the one that I post with most often. And she's actually the crazier one. So, if I'm out, it's usually because she wanted to go out. And my other one, she just graduated college, so she was just visiting and they've been visiting me every summer since they were like 11. So I basically, have been hanging out with them and I would go, they lived in LA for a while. I would just drive there and visit them all the time. I was basically their like second mom, because my mom was a lot older with them. So she wasn't as active. She wasn't as, like going out with them. But I would go there and visit and take care of them and hang out with them. And then I have another sister in Seattle, Washington, and she's more of like the normal one where she's married with kids and she works like a 9 to 5 and everything.
What's the age gap between you and those two sisters?
So for three, I have 8 years younger, 14 years younger, and 16 years younger.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah. Jess, where can people get more of you? Where are the best places can they get more of Jess?
Everywhere, I guess. Um, my at is Sully Jessica. Sully is my Korean name. Jessica is my American name. My dad's he only speaks English, so my dad would call me Jessica Sully. But it's Sully Jessica, SULHEEJESSICA. Um, TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat. Snapchat, I'm woolicious actually. So, uh, um, and Twitter, I'm woolicious, but everywhere else, I'm at Sully Jessica. I'm everywhere. YouTube, Threads now. Threads is fun because it's me just like talking, and I'll just randomly say stuff. And Threads is where I go when I get pretty emotional. So like people are like, oh, she's going through it today. So different parts of me, you'll kind of find different, like what you want to follow, I guess. Like if you just want lunch, I have just a lunch account. If you want to get to know me more, I guess Instagram is like the best, closest I feel to my community just because I DM them more often and I talk to them more often there.
On Snapchat, are you doing like Snapchat spotlights, stories? How are you using Snapchat? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, creators are just doing like the spotlights and stuff. And if you're on Snapchat, obviously just doing it regularly like you would like stories and stuff. I'm not on it as much just because I'm just not on it. I'm old. But I know a lot of creators who've made a lot of money on Snapchat. So it's definitely not a platform you should skip on. But again, it's also the same, I feel like the same type of YouTube audience where it's a little bit different of a crowd for me, where I'm just not as interested in obviously, like having that crowd as much. So I can't relate as much on Snapchat. It's hard for me.
Makes sense. Thanks so much for your time today, Jessica. I really appreciate it. I love how blunt you are, real, raw, transparent. You just you. And I think, yeah, I think the main, like people just listening to you, I think you definitely help motivate them to just be themselves and not try to follow some trend or some pendulum. And I think that that's sort of what you've been doing, and you show that, hey, like you can be successful by branching out and doing so many different things. You don't have to stay in one lane, and that's sort of what made you successful. So it's pretty inspiring to see. So thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, it was nice meeting you. Thanks for having me.
Guys, if you made
Listening. Yeah.
Guys, if you made it this far, hopefully you guys found value. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Please let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you guys on another episode of the podcast. Peace.